Welcome and or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me because today we are discussing my August reading plans. So I feel like I wanted to switch up the way that I do my TBRs or my list of hopefuls for the month, and we're gonna give this a try. If we hate it, we can just forget it happened and move on to something different. But I wanted to try something a little different. So this is how it's gonna work. I have some video ideas that I think might work for the month of August. Am I going to do all of these? Probably not. But, you know, these are just the ideas that I am kind of running through and what I will pick from to do this month. So, with that being said, I have books that I think would work for these videos, and I purposefully choose more books than will be featured in the video because I try to keep my vlogs to like 3 to 4 books just because I don't know, that just makes sense in my brain. So, some of these have really set TBRs, and so you know what's gonna happen, and then some of them I have more of a list to kind of mood read from and pick from. So, we're going to kind of discuss it that way. Am I going to tell you the specific video? No, that will be the surprise. But I will show you the groupings of books that I have that I think work for whatever theme I'm going for that video. And I am really talking with my hands today, like it's there. Anyway, if you would like to guess what these videos are going to be, you can do so in the comments and I might let you know if you're correct or not. You never know. I think that's what we're going to do for this month, and I'm going to see how, how I feel about it. Let me know how you feel about it, and we can just figure it out from there. Let's get into the books. I just said that I wasn't going to tell you the video ideas, and I'll lie that quick, but this one, it's okay. It's fine. August is my birthday month. Leo season, Leo baby. Like, we're here. Love that for us. And I kind of wanted to do something a little, you know, special maybe, or not even really special, but just something something that's me. And I have been kind of in like a rereading mood space, but I have so many new books that I want to get to that I just haven't really had the time for rereads. So my thought is that I might could do a little reading vlog with me rereading some of my favorite books, and it kind of gives you a little insight into who I am and what I like to read. And if I was to do this video, one of the books that I would like to read would be The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. And this is one of the first books that I picked up when I started back reading back in like 2020, 2021, and I fell in love with these characters, and I have reread this before, and this just continues to be one of my favorite romance books. Like, the chemistry was doing its thing, the spice was spicing. I just had a lot of fun with this book, and I would love to reread it and, see what's going on. And it says, agreeing to go to a wedding with a guy she gets stuck with in an elevator is something Alexa Monroe wouldn't normally do. She's definitely not the spontaneous type. But there's something about Drew Nichols that's too hard to resist. This is the fake dating trope, and if you don't know by now, I'm going to tell you that is one of my favorite tropes in romance books. Like, I just eat up fake dating. And so I'm really excited and hopeful that I can pick this one back up. And then we have one of my new-ish favorites, and that is Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. I read this last year and fell in love. Like, this right here, this gave, and I want to read it again. And this says, hi everyone, thank you for being here. Some of you may know me as the sister of the bride, and some of you may know me as the ex-girlfriend of the groom, but I'm willing to bet none of you know me as the woman secretly sleeping with the best man. I am. I know. I'm just as surprised as you. It was only supposed to be for the week, but every kiss, adventure, and stolen moment with Rome Martin feels like it could last forever. Oh well, what happens in Tulum stays in Tulum, right? Wrong, sis. Wrong. And y'all, Rome is a book boyfriend who is the perfect book boyfriend for a reader girly. Like if you read and you're a bookish person, Rome is the person for you. And that's all I'm gonna say. Like what he did for her, like And because the sequel to this book is coming out in August, actually, I want to reread Assistant to the Villain. Y'all, this is like the cutest thing ever. And I just like ate this up. Like, I love this so much. And it says, with ailing family to support, Evie Sage's employment status isn't just important, it's vital. So, in a mishap with Renadon's most infamous villain results in a job offer, naturally she says yes. No job is perfect, of course, but even less so when you develop a teeny crush on your terrifying, temperamental, and undeniably hot boss. Don't find evil so attractive, Evie. But just when she's getting used to severed heads suspended from the ceiling and the odd squish of an errant eyeball beneath her heel, Evie suspects this dungeon has a huge rat, and not just the literal kind, because something rotten is growing in the kingdom of Renadon, and someone wants to take the villain and his entire nefarious empire out. Yes, this is good stuff. And then the last book that I feel like I would kind of be in the mood to reread is Neon Gods by Katie Robert. And this is a Hades and Persephone retelling. And it says Society Darling Persephone plans to escape the ultra modern city of Olympus and start over far from the backstabbing politics of the 13 houses. But all that is ripped away from her when her mother ambushes her with an engagement to Zeus, the dangerous power behind their glittering city's dark facade. With no options left, Persephone flees to the forbidden Undercity and makes a devil's bargain with a man she once believed a myth, a man who awakens her to a world she never knew existed. Hades has spent his life in the shadows, and he has no intention of stepping into the light. But when he finds that Persephone can offer a little slice of the revenge he spent years craving, it's all the excuse he needs to help her, for a price. Yet every breathless night spent tangled together has given Hades a taste for Persephone, and he'll go to war with Olympus itself to keep her close. That he will, and this, if you know, you know. And if you don't know, then maybe you should find out. Moving on to another grouping of books possible for a video. We have The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, and this is one of the oldest books on my physical TBR, and I just need to go ahead and read it. Like, it's been there too long. Olive Torres is used to being the unlucky twin. From inexplicable mishaps to a recent layoff, her life seems to be almost comically jinxed. By contrast, her sister Amy is an eternal champion. She even managed to finance her entire wedding by winning a slew of contests. Unfortunately for Olive, the only thing worse than constant bad luck is having to spend the wedding day with the best man and her nemesis, Ethan Thomas. Olive braces herself for wedding hell, determined to put on a brave face. But when the entire wedding party gets food poisoning, the only people who aren't affected are Olive and Ethan. Suddenly, there's a free honeymoon up for grabs, and Olive will be damned if Ethan gets to enjoy paradise solo. Agreeing to a temporary truce, the pair head for Maui. After all, 10 days of bliss are worth having to assume the role of loving newlyweds, right? But the weird thing is, Olive doesn't mind playing pretend. In fact, the more she pretends to be the luckiest woman alive, the more she feels like she might be. Cute. I think this is essentially fake dating, but they're fake married. And so this sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we have A Little Kissing Between Friends by Chintzia C. Higgins. And this is about music producer on the rise, Sin the Star, knows what she likes from her sickening beats in the studio to the flirty femmes she fools around with. Her ever-rotating roster has never been a problem until her latest fling clashes with Juicy, her best friend and the most popular dancer at strip club Sanity. And essentially what's going to happen is this is kind of like a best friends to lovers, best friends to hookups, something like that. And I haven't read anything that has been set in a strip club type thing, but you know what? I am here for it, and I am excited to get into this. And then we have Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher, and this is essentially a nanny single dad romance, and I am usually not a single parent romance type person. And this is also a kind of grumpy sunshine. The nanny is like this happy musician, and the single dad is jaded and struggling. Well, not struggling like money wise, but struggling in the love area. Like he is guarded and wants to just protect his heart and take care of his son. And I'm also usually not a fan of kids in books, but you know what? We'll just see what happens with this. And they go on this vacation, and I'm assuming they're going to begin a relationship of some sorts. So we'll see what happens with this one. Moving on into our next grouping, we have Masquerade by O.O. Sangoyami. And this is an adult fantasy. Set in a wonderfully reimagined 15th century West Africa, Masquerade is a dazzling lyrical tale exploring the true cost of one woman's fight for freedom and self discovery, and the lengths she'll go to secure her future. Loosely based on the myth of Persephone, O.O. Sangoyami's Masquerade takes you on a journey of epic power struggles and political intrigue, which turn an entire region on its head. One of my most anticipated of the year, and I'm ready to get into it. And then we have The Pairing by Casey McQuiston, and this has been on a couple of TBRs already, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So The Pairing is about these two bisexual exes who end up on the same European food and wine tour. And so they engage in this ridiculous but also hilarious sounding hookup competition. The point of this competition is to prove that they are indeed over each other, but you know, this is giving second chance. And are they over each other? No, probably not. So we'll see what happens. Am I usually a fan of second chance? No. If you didn't get it right the first time, what are we doing the second time? But we're not here for relationship talk, so you know, whatever. We'll see what happens in this book. Sometimes it works for me, but we'll see. And then we have Dreadful by Caitlin Rizakis. And this is a sharp-witted high fantasy farce featuring killer moat squid, toxic masculinity, evil wizards, and a garlic festival all at once. It's bad enough waking up in a half-destroyed evil wizard's workshop with no eyebrows, no memories, and no idea how long you have before the Dread Lord, whomever, shows up to murder you horribly and then turn your skull into a goblet or something. It's a lot worse when you realize the Dreadlord, whomever, is you. Oh god. Okay, so this is definitely giving fantasy, but also maybe kind of cozy, but definitely like funny and a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Mystery. Yeah, as well. And it's kind of giving me Assistant to the Villain vibes, where you know, if that's your kind of humor, you're gonna love it, and if it's not your kind of humor, you're probably not gonna like it. So I just wanted to see what side I would fit on. I really liked the cover, and oh, it's a net on my face. Living in the South sucks. Anyway, so yes, I'm really excited just to try this out and see what I think of it. And then we have This Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. This book is an adult fantasy standalone that features a heist adventure full of conniving dragons, lightning banter, and high stakes intrigue. And I am definitely looking for new dragon books. I love dragons. They're like my favorite creature or whatever. So if you have any other dragon, what's the word? Shoot. Yes, if you have any other dragon recommendations, let me know. In our next set of books, we have Lease on Love by Fallon Ballard. Fallon Ballard? Yeah. And it says, after getting passed over for an overdue and much needed promotion, Sadie Green is in desperate need of three things: a stiff drink, a new place to live, and a one night stand. But when an accidental mix up lands her on the doorstep of Jack Thomas's gorgeous Brooklyn brownstone, it's too bad Sadie is more attracted to the impressive real estate than she is to the man himself. And this has been described as an opposites attract, roommates to lovers romance. So we also have Georgie All Along by Kate Claiborne, and this says longtime assistant Georgie has made a career out of putting others before herself. When an unexpected upheaval sends her away from her hectic job in LA and back to her hometown, Georgie must confront an uncomfortable truth. Her own wants and needs have always been a disconcertingly blank page. But then Georgie comes across a forgotten artifact, a friend fic diary she wrote as a teenager, filled with possibilities she once imagined. To an overwhelmed Georgie, the diary's simple, small scale ideas are a lifeline, a guidebook for getting started on a new path. Georgie's plans hit a snag when she comes face to face with an unexpected roommate, Levi Fanning, one time town troublemaker and current town hermit. But this quiet, grouchy man is more than just his reputation, and he offers to help Georgie with her quest. As the two make their way through her wish list, Georgie begins to realize that what she truly wants might not be in the pages of her diary at all, but right by her side, if only they can both find a way to let go of the past that hold them back. So this is giving lit fic with a little romance on the side. And then we have a YA fantasy, and that is Wild Blood by Lauren Blackwood. And it says 18-year-old Victoria is a wild blood. Since she was kidnapped at the age of 6, Victoria has been forced to use her magic to guide and protect travelers in a Jamaican jungle teeming with ghostly monsters. Her magic is the most powerful of anyone on the team, making her the perfect choice to protect a valuable new client. This client is everything Victoria isn't, confident, kind, and so handsome he leaves her speechless. And when he entrusts his safety to her, kindness turns to love. But the jungle is treacherous, and while facing hypnotist river spirits, soul-devouring women who shed their skin like snakes, an ex out for revenge, and a young man she is falling in love with, Victoria must find the strength to defeat the demons of this dangerous land and discover where she truly belongs. Yeah, this sounds like it's definitely going to be interesting, and some of like the creatures that are going to be in here are things that I've never heard of before, so hopefully this will be a good time. And then we have Runaway Romance by Simone J. Maxwell, and this says, will a sizzling connection with her best friend's brother cause a runaway bride to rethink her stance on walking down the aisle? I have never planned to leave my fiance at the altar. Accepting the lead role in a rom-com about a runaway bride was my chance to shed the former child star label and revive my career. Little did I know that the on-screen sparks with my co-star would ignite a whirlwind off-screen romance. But moments before our real-life wedding, I took inspiration from my movie counterpart, followed my gut, and made a run for it. I arrived at the hideaway in my wedding dress, hoping a few tranquil days at the resort would help me decide if returning to the chaos of Hollywood and my relationship is what I truly want. But a spa appointment mix up with a gorgeous face from the past leaves me more confused than ever. And this is a short novella that sounds good, and I have been, of course, like everyone in the country, watching Love Island, so the fact that this is named The Hideaway is really giving, and yeah, can't wait to see what I think of this. And we also have The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren, and this is sparks fly when a romance novelist and a documentary filmmaker join forces to craft the perfect Hollywood love story, but only if they can keep the chemistry between them from taking the whole thing off script. And if you have read The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren, then this is not necessarily a sequel, but the main character in this book is Fizzy, which was the main character of the Soulmate Equation's best friend, and she was definitely one of my favorite characters from the Soulmate Equation, so I'm excited that she has her own story, and I'm ready to see what it's like. It's giving The Bachelor. Have I ever watched The Bachelor? No, but you know, I feel like if you've seen one reality dating show, you've seen them all, so yeah, I'm excited to read this. All right, and getting into this last grouping of books, we have A Touch of Chaos by Scarlett St. Clair. And y'all, I am finally, hopefully, going to be wrapping up the Hades and Persephone saga. And yeah, super excited to finally finish this up. I feel like it's a long time coming. And this is a romantasy that centers around a Hades and Persephone retelling. And Yeah. And then we have Siren and Scion by J.D. Evans. And this is the third book in the Mages of the Wheel series. And it's kind of hard to talk about this because the series has an overarching plot, but each book follows a different couple, but the plot still moves. So it's hard to talk about what's going to happen in the book because that's technically spoilers, but the couples we don't even know who the couples are either. We get introduced to them as, they come on. This is kind of a fantasy romance that is really heavy on political intrigue. We have a sultana who is trying to make waves on her own and wants to be able to rule on her own, but of course the men on the council thinks that she needs to marry and essentially just be a prop for her husband, but she's not having that. Like, sultana is a badass and she's fighting against that, and she also wants to reunite the country realm situation because they have been separated because of a war. But there is this outside force that is coming, and she feels like if they unite, then they will, of course, be stronger and be able to defeat this common enemy. And the magic system is really cool. It's based on a wheel, and of course, like, it reminds me of a color wheel, but it's not based on colors. It's based on like complementary types of magic and those in opposition as well, if that makes sense. It's elemental, but also a wheel and complementary. I don't know if that makes sense. You might need to read it to get into it. I feel like I just did a horrible job, but it's really solid and a really great time with the first and second books. So I am hoping to get into this one and see what we get up to. Next, we have The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness, and this is the third book in the All Souls trilogy, which starts off with a discovery of witches. So this series can be easily summed up as Twilight for adults, and that comes from Becca in the books. I think that's a really solid comparison because we have Diana, who is a witch, but she doesn't practice, and she calls up this manuscript and it's supernatural, and that causes a lot of other things to then happen. And then she runs into this vampire named Matthew. What is this lady's name? Matthew Claremont. And so he is saying that he wants to protect her, but also is wanting what everybody else is wanting from Diana. And they eventually struck up this romance. But in this world, witches and vampires are not supposed to be together. And it just starts this whole situation of things happening. And then in this world, there are a lot of supernatural creatures, and it's a lot of history and suspense and romance. And I'm just having a good time. The second book wasn't that great, but it still was good. So I'm happy to see where we continue on in this book. And I'm really iffy about this book because I'm trying to wait. But these authors and these publication dates, it's just been too much drama. And I don't even know when we're going to get the fourth book, but I don't want to read the third book and then have to wait months for the fourth one and forget everything. I'm trying to space it out to where I won't need to reread, but it's making it hard. And that's the third book in the Kindred's Curse saga, Heat of the Everflame. So in this series, we follow Diem Bellator, and in this world, we have humans and we have the Descendant, and Descendants are the people who have magic, and they're really oppressive and treat the humans like crap. And Diem is a healer, and her mother goes missing. So in order to keep her brother going to this special Descendant school, Diem decides to take up her mother's role as the descended healer in the palace, and things kind of unfurl from there. The series has been all over BookTube, Book Talk, so I don't feel like I have to go into too much depth with it, and I don't want to tell you too much, but that is essentially the basis of the story. And I may or may not read this one. It just kind of depends on if I hear news that Burn of the Everframe, the fourth book, is going to come out soon or not. It's up in the air. We'll see. Finally, we have Emily Wild's Map of the Otherlands, and I'm really excited to get into this. Emily Wild I had such a fun time reading that first book, and I kind of want to get into this now. Yeah, now just feels like a good time for me to read this book. I don't know why, but it's just calling to me at the moment. So yeah. Emily Wilde is a genius scholar of fairy folklore who just wrote the world's first comprehensive encyclopedia of fairies. She's learned many of the secrets of the hidden ones on her adventures, and also from her fellow scholar and former rival, Wendell Bumblebee. And I'm not going to say any more because this synopsis is going to spoil the first book for you. So, yeah. This looks like it's going to be a fun time. I've heard good things about it and I'm ready to get into it. And that is basically the list of books that I will be pulling from for the month of August to read and to create my videos with. So if you have any ideas of what these video groupings mean or what the themes may be, please let me know in the comments below. And I may or may not let you know if you're correct or not. Also, let me know if you like this style better or what I can do to kind of make it interesting, because I feel like TBRs are just kind of not boring, but like, I don't know, I'm just trying to find a way to make TBRs more interesting. So let me know if you have any ideas that you would like to see me try. I'm up for it. And thank you again for taking time out of your day to spend with me, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.